There's something happening at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this weekend. It's only a small matter of them lot from Woolwich coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. This weekend is the North London Derby. Ladies and gentlemen, the North London Derby. Can Tottenham Hotspur halt the chase for the title for the Gooners? Or will the Gooners come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and take the 3 points? Let's get this show on the road and let's do Tottenham Arsenal, the preview show. Good afternoon, welcome to PRTV Spurs Paxton Road TV on this wonderful Friday afternoon. The sun is shining, the weather is alright actually, but most importantly, it's the North London Derby weekend. Boy, am I looking forward to it, and I hope everyone in the comment section is looking forward to this massive fixture. And joining me to discuss, analyse, hide behind the sofa if we have to, or do whatever we have to do this weekend. 3 points is vital, is the one, my only sidekick, Mr. Sam, Spurs for life. Good afternoon, Sam. How are we?
Good afternoon. I feel like I'm a little bit low down in this chair looking at this thing, but I'm all right. I'm okay, thank you.
Good. So it is that time of the year. It is where the one North London club versus the club from South, whatever you want to call them, Woolwich, come head to head at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. This game is even bigger than normal, is it, for Spurs? Or it's a massive game for Arsenal now that they're in the title hunt, and Liverpool. There's a lot of bottles going on at the moment, and guess what? Spurs haven't got any bottles this year. Everybody else is getting them. So this is a massive game, isn't it? Massive game. Do we stop them on their hunt for the title, or do they come to us and get one step closer to that title?
Well, realistically, what are we playing for? I guess we are playing for pride. It's a North London derby. Again, we're not playing to win anything unless people still see Champions League qualification as a victory, success in some sort of sense. I don't think we deserve it this season. So I think our season now boils down to stopping them lot from winning the league, if that's what we can do, or at least put ourselves in a position to hamper that, because we can't necessarily stop them. It all depends on other results. But yeah, do our bit to help. And that's brutally the truth. That's the honest truth. That's all we got left.
It's true. I mean, like I said, we're like you said, we're in transition at the moment this season. It could have gone better, but injuries and obviously results, we could have been in fourth, but we keep swapping over with Aston Villa and this, that, the other. And like you said, what do we have to play for? Realistically, Man United are 7 points behind us. Can they catch us? Probably they can, but it's in our own hands. But I think this game, like you said, it's the North London derby. It's Tottenham, Arsenal. It's war. It's a battle. Who takes the supremacy? Who takes the title of the North London Kings? Form goes out the window in this one. They've been on fire, right? And the way they dismantled Cole Palmer FC the other day, it was, Was it shocking from Chelsea or was it just good from Arsenal? We got dismantled by Newcastle. We just didn't turn up. We've had a 2-week break. They've played 3-4 games. I know Arteta was whining about playing the games, but I don't know about you, Sam. I'd rather play the games than have a 14-day break, because that 14 days you become complacent, you become lethargic, you're training. Are we training? Are we doing tactical training? We don't know. So there's a lot of palpitations. There's a lot of things going on. But most importantly, and we've said this before many, many times, you've got to turn up for this game on Sunday. You have to have passion, like you've said. You have to be fully committed. And most importantly, you're going to have to die on that pitch for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club on Sunday, because the fans ain't going to take anything less than that.
Well, we, the fans, will be up for the game. Obviously, that goes without saying. But we need the players to contribute to keeping us in that frame of mind. And what I mean by that is, you know, obviously you're there. We get the trumpeter going and it gets everybody up, and then the game kicks off. And then it almost seems like, for a lot of the time, we kind of get into this passing routine, as we know, the 70% possession. I think for Sunday's game, we as a team need to show the spirit, fight, determination that we've talked about and go from it from the start. I don't think this kind of control build up to try and fight. No, maybe hit that ball long, get some chases, get them turned around. If we've taken the kick, at least do something slightly different than what the norm is. Because if we go into our normal way of playing and Arsenal look at our normal way of playing, all they need to do, as most teams, and we'll get into it when we talk about it more, is just let us have the ball if they want to. And they don't necessarily have to, but just to exploit the spaces. And yeah, the team news that we've got coming up, I think, is going to make that a little bit more of a difficult task if we don't show that fighting spirit, like I said.
Yeah, and it could be going from heaven to hell. And boy, do the Spurs fans not want to be in hell that week on Sunday, because imagine if they beat us and then they're going to win that title. It's not going to be nice at all. But anything can happen. And we'll talk about this later anyway, what I'm thinking. But anyway, let's get into this then. Wherever you're watching us from, whichever platform, please make sure you subscribe to PRTV Spurs, Paxton Road TV. As always, that's where you find all the content. PRTV Spurs is the place to be now, because they're going to get switched over to that end of this season. Paxton Road TV probably won't be. It'll be somewhere in the background, but it won't be probably showcasing any more shows. So please make sure, if you haven't already, smash that like button and come and give us a follow. We're trying to get everyone over from Paxton Road TV, and some are falling asleep, some are hiding behind the sofa. We don't know where you are, but wherever you are, you need to come out and you need to come and join us. So, Sam, without further, let's get into this then. It's the North London derby. It's a grand old team to play for. Anyway, 63 times in the Prem. I'm not going about the whole history. This is just the Prem. 63 times the lot from North Woolwich and Tottenham Hotspur have locked horns. And Tottenham have won 15 times. Arsenal have won 24 times. Spurs have won 13 of those at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium / White Hart Lane. Arsenal have won 6. Away from home, they've won 18 at the Highbury / Emirates, and Tottenham have won 2. We know how poor we've got records against these clubs away. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea's. 24 draws, Sam. So, yeah.
To be honest, I didn't realise that their away record, i.e. their games at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, White Hart Lane, whatever you want to call it now, I thought it was more than that. I thought they'd won more. Obviously, there's been a lot of draws, and we know that that's the case. So we can see that although they've won 9 more games than us, they're supposedly the more superior team. It comes down to it. It's a North London derby. This is the game that I guess they look at and we look at as being the game, regardless of what else is happening in the season, who's going for what. This is the game that you kind of look for at the start of the season. Think, right, we're playing them lot, home or away, whatever way order it is. And sometimes the order is important. Now, I think for us, playing them away from home the first game was a blessing in disguise, given the fact of where we are now, because as I said, in them first 10 to 12 games, nobody really had a clue of what we were doing in terms of how our playing style was, so we was able to get away with it. And I think we did against Arsenal, because we showed that first, it was the game of two halves. Fast forward X amount of time now into late April, I'm glad we're playing at home, because it gives us that little bit more of an edge. It gives us a bit more of a competitive edge, competitive edge in this game.
Yeah, it's one of them, and you've nailed it for me. Play them early at their stadium, and then obviously you're not hoping, or you don't pray for a game towards the end of a season, because titles can be won and lost in them final few games. You probably want to get this game out of the way well before anything, because it can, like you said, if they beat us and then they win the title, they can always say, well, 3 games to go, we win the title at Tottenham, whatever. However, the flip side to that is it's even better now, because they're coming to us on a streak, pushing for that title. Liverpool dropping points, so they'll want to win at all costs. It's a massive game for them. What do? Like you said, they'll now know how Spurs are going to be playing, because everybody else is sussed us out now. So Arteta's going to be thinking, do I carry on my way, or do I change the system, or do we just do what we do? Spurs, on the other hand, they one dimension, they go the way high line, and we play that way. It's going to be very interesting to see how Arteta lines up. It's going to be very interesting how we line up. But most importantly, do they come to our stadium not to lose, or do they come to our stadium to make sure they get the 3 points?
I think they've got to win. I think they know that they have to win, given the fact that Man City are doing what they're doing. I know we've got to play Manchester City, and if they get a draw and Arsenal win all their games, effectively with the goal difference, Arsenal win the league. Now, that's a scenario that we all don't want to see, I guess, as a Spurs fan. But Manchester City, I guess, are in the driving seat. They won't play us until the second from last game of the season. So then, by then, we could have things wrapped up. We might not. It might go down to the last couple of games. I'm hoping that we put this dent in their title hopes this weekend, and that's as much as people might clown that and think, "Oh, that's all you lot have got to do. You're just having to beat Arsenal. That's like your whole season." Well, at this stage, I remember what Chelsea did to us at the Battle of the Bridge. 2016 was it? We had to go to what's it called?
Stamford.
The Bridge to win, effectively to keep our title hopes alive, and they did everything they could, even though we were winning that game. You know what happened in that game, and I'm just saying to you, this is for me. I don't want to hear anything about our development football. We're as long as we're playing better, mate. I don't want to hear none of that. This is the North London derby. You go out there, and if you don't play good football, so be it. You just got to go out there and make sure that we just fight. Everything's got to be about matching them, as we saw from that Merseyside derby. 2010 was the last time Everton beat Liverpool, and nobody expected them to do that. Given the stage that Liverpool are in this season, not having it. So I want to see us perform, not necessarily to the best of our ability in terms of the technical side of things, but perform. What I mean perform is make sure that we put everything on the line.
Well said. Well said. So, recent meetings then. 21st of September, 26th of September 2021. This is all at home, yeah? Or 3-1 to Arsenal. 12th of May, 2022. This is the last 5 meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham 3, Arsenal 0 at home. 1st of October, 2022. Arsenal 3, Spurs 1 at the Emirates. 15th of Jan 23, Spurs 0, Arsenal 2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which we all know. And last but not least, 24th of September this year, 2-2, a game of 2 halves at the Emirates Stadium. So it's 3 losses, 1 draw, 1 win, Sam, in the last 5 meetings, of which, if we then look at the last 5 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 2nd of March 2019, it was a 1-1 draw. 12th of July 2020, Spurs 2, Arsenal 1. 6th of December 2020, Spurs 2, Arsenal 0. 12th of May 2022, Spurs 3, Arsenal 0. And the 15th of January 2023, Arsenal 0, Arsenal 2, Spurs 0. So last 5 meetings at home is 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw.
I remember that last game. We didn't deserve to win that one. Obviously, last season's game, that was towards the end of the reign of said person, and we kind of know where we were in terms of, I guess, the mentality of the team at that point in the season. The 3 wins before that, convincing wins, I would have said. You know, the games that I think we did deserve to win. You can see they only scored 1 goal in that in those other 3 meetings, and it looks like, you know, we have got an opportunity, given it being at the Tottenham Hotspur. This is what I said at the beginning of the show. You know, the fact that it is at home makes a big difference. Had it been at the Emirates, this game now, we really would be in a lot of pressure, real pressure situation. We're under pressure situation now, as are they. And it is I still think it's going to come down to a tactical game for me, and who's got the best tactics, and that's where I'm a little bit concerned about us, because our tactics are on display. It's like a girl just lifting up, not necessarily anybody exposing their underneath just by doing that. Here you go, have a look. There you go, see what we've got. That's what I think our tactics are like. Yeah,
I think they'll do their homework, no doubt. Arteta and the team will have done their homework, and they'll have seen how Spurs have played. They just need to look at the last 2 away games, Newcastle and Fulham, and how poor we were. But then again, it's like you said, us being at home, slightly different.
What I'm hoping, Sid, is that Ange, I think he recognises the importance of this North London derby. Obviously, he does. He knows about that from, I guess, his Celtic days and Celtic Rangers things. So he knows about what these derbies mean to fans. He cannot not get away from that. But some of the words that he says, and I haven't, obviously, there's the press conference which will be later today, and I'm sure we'll all tune into that to kind of get an idea of what he's going to say. But when he said things before, like, oh, it doesn't matter how we play, he just wants us to get to look like we're improving. Well, I don't want to hear that tomorrow. On Sunday. I don't want to hear any of that. I just want to hear that we won the game. And yeah, we either deserve to win the game or we didn't deserve to win the game. Either or, we can't. So we can, obviously, but he's got to come with a mentality that these players know what it means, and everybody at that stadium knows what it means as well.
This is it. You've nailed it. The fans are going to be from 12 o'clock, I would say, even 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. It's going to be rocking that stadium, right? It's down to the fans. The fans will do their bit because it's the Arsenal coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah. Whether they're in a title race, relegation battle, whatever they're in, it's the Arsenal coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's down to the players now to put that shirt on and actually fight for the cockerel on that shirt, because we've seen many times this game, and where we've all been fired up, pumped up, and the players have not turned up. Yeah, and it's just another day in paradise. You know what I mean? As Phil Collins said, think twice. It's just you and them with another day in paradise. But this time round, I'm going from the manager down all the way. Look at, you mentioned Everton. Did you see their chairman when they went to him, when they went 1-0 up? He was giving it large, and he was getting the fans, he was getting them pumped up. That's what we need. If they show Daniel Levy in the stand, we don't want him sat there, usual, you know what I mean, with his loads of money signs. We want him to show a bit of passion. I've never seen him show any passion unless he's got a contract for a hotel or an event at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So he's got to do it. The manager's got to do it. All his assistants have got to do it. The bench, which we know some of them will do. And then most importantly, them 11 players that start the game have to be fully COYS. Because if it's not, that can turn very, very ugly. And we all know what Arsenal can do. They've done it to West Ham. They did it to Chelsea. If you give them the upper hand, and if you tell them, listen, guys, we've got a little bit of a rope here, you can start hanging us. Fucking hell, they will hang us dry. They will hang us dry.
going into this game, it's not necessarily about form. We know that derbies, doesn't matter who's the better team at that time, it should equal itself out most of the time, unless there's a real big disparity between the two teams. But the biggest thing that I think you can have, for me, the factor there's a few factors that determine the result of this. Is confidence is a massive thing in professional sport anyway. Confidence going into any game, going into any fight, going into anything like that where you're competing, I think is the telling factor. You can be playing the best football, you can be doing all the rest of that, but if you're confident in what you can go out and do, and I mean by confidence, not necessarily, right, we've got a plan, we know what we're going to do, everybody's signed up to this, everybody's going to do this, we're all determined, we're going to fight, we're going to do this, the manager's confident, the fans are in the stadium, we're giving them, it's not low, oh, we've gone 1-0 down, oh my God, that's it now, and then you end up capitulating. No, right, we're still going to, right, we're going to fight, we're going to show this. Our confidence is such, and this is what I'm saying about the difference between the two teams going into tomorrow. They've got that confidence because they're going for the title. They did so last season and fell off. Now they've got an opportunity to really push City, and they're going to do that. So we have to understand that, right, they're going to come to our stadium to win. We should, in effect, be able to beat anybody at our stadium because we know that we've seen that, the style of play. So are we confident enough to do that, Sid? That's the biggest thing. Are we confident enough to do that?
Well, 2 p.m. on Sunday is when we will find out. Right, so last 5 then for each team. Spurs lost to Fulham 3-0. Arsenal beat Luton 2-0. Spurs beat Luton 2-1. They beat Brighton 3-0. Spurs drew with West Ham United 1-1. They lost 2-0 to Aston Villa. Spurs beat Forest 3-1. They beat Wolves 2-0. Newcastle Spurs lost 4-0. Hammering, whatever you want to call it. And flip side to that, they absolutely destroyed Cole Palmer FC 5-0. So their last 5 games is won 4, lost 1. Spurs won 2, drawn 1, lost 2. But look at the second to last column on that right-hand side, Sam. That is the worrying thing for me. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. These fuckers cannot concede a goal. You know what I mean? As much as...
Yeah.
And they say strikers score goals, win you titles, but keep them clean sheets and your defenders win you the title. So they're scoring, but they're fucking not conceding goals, man.
Yeah, but okay, let's put a little bit more of a positive spin on this from a Spurs perspective. It seems like we've been quite down. The teams that obviously Arsenal have played, I know they've got the victories and whatnot, but Luton, Brighton, Wolves, Chelsea. Now, you know, those teams are all below us in the table. You know, every single one of those teams are below us. And it puts into perspective where teams are. Now, you could say Brighton are a good team away from home. Arsenal won 3-0. Well, we've seen what Manchester City did to that team as well. 5-0, they beat them. 4-0, whatever it was. Luton Town, home game for Arsenal. You should win that. I know we made hard work of it, but we did the double over Luton this season. Wolves, we've had our troubles against them, but effectively they've got a massive injury crisis down there. You'd expect Arsenal to, if they're chasing the title, to win that one. The 5-0 against Chelsea, they had no Cole Palmer, who's their best player, and they're a basket case anyway. So I'm looking at those fixtures and thinking Arsenal should have picked up them points. Aston Villa was a tough contest, and they lost at home to them. Flip side is, we're a tough opposition. We're as close to Aston Villa, given the fact that we're 2 games behind them in terms of playing, and if we win our 2 games, we'll be the same points as Villa. So we are the same standard. There you go. For me, they've played teams, they've won, and they've kept clean sheets, but they're now playing us. We are a good team on our day. We can beat anybody. We've got a pretty good, decent Big Six record if you take out people like Chelsea in the Big Six. So I expect us to go out and perform tomorrow. And I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, we weren't ready or we weren't prepared. We've had 2 weeks to prepare for this.
Do you know what the other thing as well? Sorry, I said they haven't conceded. They have conceded 2 against Aston Villa. So they've conceded 2 in 5 games. But one thing I will say about them is Wolves, I agree what you said, injuries, but they go out there and they do the job. We've played teams. Look at Newcastle. Yeah? Look at Newcastle, prime example. How many players did they have missing? Who did they have? They were playing misfits in different positions. They battered us 4-0 at their ground. This is the difference between Arsenal and Spurs. If that team they're playing are injury stricken or whatever, they go out and they do the job. They don't care. We, on the other hand, how are you getting beat 4-0 by a Newcastle team that have got X amount of players injured and we don't even turn up? Fulham don't even turn up. You see what I mean?
I tell you how it happens. We give teams a leg up. In that Newcastle game, as I said to you before, as we've already known, if you've got 55,000 Jodi fans and you give them an opportunity to keep singing throughout a game, they will. And even if they're losing, sometimes they will still be really up for the game. That's because they've got them fans. We gave them in that first half an opportunity to be singing throughout the whole game. We cannot do that. We have to do exactly what Newcastle did to us, to Arsenal, in a sense of just go for them, take your chances. The crowd stays with you. We're just like pumped, and we will be that 12th man. That's an old cliche, and I hate to use it, but it's true. That's why you have differences between playing away from home and at home, and this should now be the opportunity to see what difference that makes for us.
Paul Pablo is saying, good afternoon on the North London. What manager would you be confident of getting a result? Ange or Conte? And a backup team of Gianni Vaio, set pieces coach for Italian team against now Ryan Mason, who was better. I was going to discuss this about set pieces, but if he's asked the question, do you know what? I think they're probably top 2, top 3 from set pieces. And the way we defend that set pieces, I think if I was Arteta, I'd be telling my lot, get as many free kicks, as many corners as you can, because these lot cannot defend a set piece. They do zonal marking, but they don't mark anyone. So if I was Arteta, I'd be telling them, Odegaard and whoever else, Trossard and whoever, whatever, get as many free kicks, get the ball into the box from corners, and we'll score goals. I think their threat, if anything, is going to be from set pieces, Sam.
Yes, there'll be other areas where they're going to be targeting us. And okay, if we look at the way we play, now I'm going to again go back a little bit negative on us. We're pretty predictable in terms of the spaces available to attack. So we have this possession, 70%, whatever it is, 60%, 70% in areas of the pitch which don't really hurt teams. Then when we get forward, our attacking players include our fullbacks. And so we're left with 2 defenders effectively. We've got a number 6 at the moment who's playing not the best, and that's Basuma. So I think we have to play a double pivot on Sunday, in my personal opinion, to be more solid and to stop just having them wide areas. And now we're talking about an England international back, Saka on that left hand, on that right hand side.
Cassidy, you mean?
So we've got Saka on that right hand side, and I think they're probably going to start Trossard. I don't think they'll start Martinelli because they've got a goal for it from Trossard. And to be honest with you, I don't like that player as a player because I think he gets into some really good position and he can finish. I'd rather Martinelli play because he's a bit more predictable in that sense, even though he's a bit jinky. Trossard is definitely one of them players who just pops up, scores goals. So yeah, I can see us having a problem in them wide areas if we have to tweak something. We can't just allow transition into that area and be one-on-one with Saka and Martinelli.
Saka against Chelsea was non-existent. He looks a man that's tired. I don't think he done anything in that game. And I was chatting to a few gooners and they're telling me the same, that he's knackered. He is, so.
But Sid, what better way to be unknackered, if that's a phrase, than the North London derby, when you're potentially going to win this game and you still have a chance to win the title. You know, if you don't, that's what I'm saying. If players can't get up for today, regardless of what you've done in the season, and we've got the added bonus that we've had 2 weeks rest at this stage of the season, this is gold. This is like gold dust. We have to use it to our advantage. Energy. Just keep the energy as high as possible. Keep that fight going. Win your first, win your second balls. If we do that consistently well and play a bit of football as well, we should have a positive result. But if we lack in any way, if somebody switches off or somebody doesn't do their job or doesn't track back or doesn't want to get in that first, win that first ball or that second ball, we can have a long day.
Yeah. Only positive when we beat Arsenal a year before last was when Conte with Ben Davies done a job on Saka in that game. So,
and he's likely to play on Sunday as well, isn't
he? Yeah. Right. So the season so far then: Spurs 5th, Arsenal 1st. 18 games Spurs have won. They've won 24. We've drawn 6. They've drawn 5. We've lost 8. They've lost 5. Average goals scored per match 2.3. Tottenham 0-3. They've scored 2.41. Average goals conceded Spurs 1.53. 0.76 Arsenal. Clean sheets Spurs 6. Arsenal 16. Chances created per match. We're creating more, 2.28 to 2.15 Arsenal. Biggest win 5-2 Spurs. Theirs is 6-0. 4-0 worst defeat. Their worst defeat 2-0. Their biggest defeat 6-0 was against West Ham. Their worst defeat 2-0 against West Ham. Weird, isn't it?
Do you want me to comment on these things this season so far?
You can do.
There's some real clear, obviously, points there to identify and look at and talk about. Right. So I didn't realize, obviously, they won 24 games. We've won 18. We've played 2 less games than they have. So that accounts for that. The draws again. Now, if you think about that, if you look at that in a cold light of day, let's say we beat them Sunday, and then we win our game in hand. We'd have only then lost 8 games. They would have lost 6 games at that same point if we'd have played 34 games each.
Yeah.
It's not that far. We're not that far behind them in points. But what it seems like, we seem like we're really far behind in that competitive side of things, because they go into matches thinking they're going to win it. We go into some of our matches thinking, based on what we've seen, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, or we do know what's going to happen here, but we're not honest with ourselves. The goals scored per match, again, they're closer to 2.5. We're just over 2. Not that much difference, but the biggest things here, they're conceding half the average amount of goals, and look how many more clean sheets than us they have.
I know.
That's it. You cannot win the Premier League if you don't defend properly. If you do not have a low goal conceding average, we cannot be that team that concedes 4 1 week, scores 3, concedes 5, scores 2, no clean sheets in the last X amount of games. You just cannot do it. But if you just balance everything up, and we can start looking at that as where you need to improve Spurs and get your clean sheets, get your defense sorted, and we would be more competitive next season, because the other numbers all kind of match up.
Yeah. Sorry, David, but this is more important than your painting and decorating, unfortunately. This is the North London derby, and this is Sid and Sam taking you through it all. So you're right. You have to halt your painting and decorating, because you've got to listen to the Sid and Sam and the North London derby.
We got a little abuse from Alex Scott experience yesterday, me, David and Darius on the stream, unnecessarily calling us wankers for just having an opinion. So I was very, very cut him off. So David, go on.
Why? What happened?
Oh, it's just because I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest, what happened. I think it was just, sometimes people throw their toys out the pram, and it was one of them ones. It was minor. So anyway.
It's that team from Woolwich, I think, David. Somewhere from Woolwich, I think. Right. So, as you were saying, Sam, it's very, very this stats here. The 0.76 goal conceded and 16 clean sheets.
It's the clean sheets, 10, because you can have goals conceded per match. Obviously, that's based on around the whole thing. I get all that, but clean sheets, because you could be conceding 1 goal a game, but even if you concede 1 goal a game, it doesn't guarantee you a victory. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't guarantee you not losing a game. But what I'm saying is, these teams, if you can keep a clean sheet, it guarantees that you do not lose, even if you don't score.
Yeah.
Even if you don't score. If you concede 1, you can lose 1-0 because your goal scores are not there. But if you don't concede, you do not lose that game.
This is it. And we've said this many times, haven't we? And we've had this on our group discussions and this, that, the other. And I've said it to you, on paper, you look at our defense, and it's probably one of the strongest in the Prem, if you look at it on paper. But when they come on that pitch, it's comical sometimes. because them lot should be keeping clean sheets with what we've got. But is it the system? Is it the way they're defending?
So how people should look at it is, as I've just mentioned, the clean sheets equals, you can say it equals minimum of a point. It equals a minimum of a point. So if you've got 6 clean sheets, you've got a minimum of 6 points in those games that you've kept the clean sheets in.
Yeah.
They've got 16. So they've already minimum of 16 points. Now, most of those games they might have gone on to win, and we've seen they were winning 3s and 4s and 5s. So people you cannot underestimate the value of keeping a clean sheet in all competitions as much as possible, because it allows you the platform to win a game, but it also makes sure you don't lose. And what's their mentality going to be like Sunday? Is it not to lose? I still think their mentality is not to let us score against them, and they'll probably be able to say they can nick it, even given the circumstances being at our stadium. So yeah, we have to make sure we try and keep the score down.
But do you know what? It's one of them. I think they'll be thinking the same, where they'll be thinking, you know what, we need to go to that stadium, but we need to fear them because they've got players. We've got players, Son, Madison's, you know what I mean, Richarlison. So they'll probably be thinking the same. I don't think they'll try and keep a clean sheet, but they'll probably know that it's going to be hard because we're playing at their stadium. The players will be up for it, and on the day, like you said, and I'll go back to the North Merseyside derby the other day, always the predictable becomes the unpredictable, because you never know what's going to happen, and Everton proved it. Who on earth would have ever thought Everton, not won since 2010, we're going to win that game in the end comfortably?
Yeah. You know, a stat that we might need to look at for later on in maybe even next season or later on is average percentage possession, because I would like to see what Arsenal's percentage possession is compared to ours is at this stage of the season. I think, you know, teams being in that top half usually tend to have more possession than the others. Aston Villa might be a little bit of an anomaly to that, but I'm assuming that most of the games Arsenal are going to be the team in possession. So this is where it's going to be very interesting tactics-wise. Is Arteta going to adjust himself tactically to nullify us from a possession perspective, or allow us to have the possession in order to beat us in the transition? Or are they going to try and dominate the game and blow us away in the way that some teams have done, but most teams have done it in a transitional way? Like even Newcastle, they scored 4 goals against us, but we had 60-odd, 70% possession to their 20-something, 30%, and they scored 4 goals. Is that going to be the case? It's really fascinating, but all I know, the biggest factor in this game for me is that we have to show fighting spirit. If we don't show that Sunday, I think we're going to have a hard day. Yeah.
And as one of the ex-players that played for them at left back, his ex-missus, did she say, you've got to fight for this team? Anyway, team news-wise then, we obviously know that Destiny's done for the season. Only a Tottenham player can get injured in training when there's no game for 2 weeks. So he's done.
Who?
Destiny.
Oh, yeah. He's had surgery as well, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's had surgery, so he's done. Richarlison, I think they said he should be fit, but I don't know what's going on. Pedro Porro and Richarlison are both back in training, but what does that mean? Are they training just to keep fit, or are they training to be part of the squad on Sunday? So on that basis, the team for me, I don't know, man. It's hard, but obviously, as always, the main man in goal, Vicario. I think Porro starts, so I'll go with Porro. Ben Davies comes in for me at left back, and I hope he does a job like was mentioned in the comments last time we played, and he done a job on him. Romero and Van der Ven back, at the back too. So that's the back 5 for me. Agree? Any more? Do you see anything different to that?
Potentially. I potentially could see Porro maybe not starting and Emerson Royal starting. Now,
I've heard something. I don't know if it was Ali Gold or something, but mentioning something with Dragusin. So I don't know whether they're going to use him as a right back. I don't know what's the situation. But anyway, carry on.
Okay, so you've had 2 weeks to prepare. If you're going to do that, you should have been able to button that down.
Yeah.
My thing is, it's the North London derby. I want players who know what this means. Not to say Dragonson doesn't know what it means. He's probably seen it, but he ain't played in one. He ain't played in one. And he ain't played in one as important as this. I'm not quite sure you want to bring someone at this stage into that game under that amount of pressure. If he's a player that we think he is, he should be able to take that pressure. But we've seen pressure does strange things to a lot of better players than him. So I'm not sure Dragons will be the way. It'll either be Porro or Emerson Royal for me. And if Porro is showing any sort of doubts in terms of being 100% fit, I don't think we can start him. I think we have to go Emerson Royal. And in that sense, we then have a bit more of a defensive lineup. But if Ange then says he's still going to try and play the same way with Emerson Royal and Ben Davis as his fullbacks,
problem.
Have a hard day.
Yeah. As they say, there may be trouble ahead. Right. Fun. This one is the debatable one. This is the one where conversations, uncomfortable conversations will happen. Midfield three, Bissouma, Bentancur, Maddison. Because I'll tell you why. Partey is probably going to start like he did against Chelsea. And Partey, I don't like the rating, but he's that player that fixes them together. He's that glue. And remember what he does? Scores worldly when he plays for Spurs. So I think Partey starts on Sunday. So I think we've got, well, it's Bissouma or Højbjerg, isn't it? To be fair. Maddison, Bentancur, Saw. It's the five. But I think he'll go with these three. Purely because Maddison, obviously. I'm even contemplating dropping Maddison. Yeah. I'm even contemplating dropping Maddison, but you see what he did against Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. Yeah, we know what he done Saka when he scored that goal. But since then, after the injury, he's been poor. So do we then bring in Lo Celso? Good question. I don't know. Bentancur, we know what Bentancur's all about. And on his day, man, that guy is phenomenal. Then do you bring in Saw? I doubt it. Bissouma's the biggest question for me, and we've been saying this for weeks. I think tomorrow or Sunday he's gonna have to stand up, be counted, or I think it's arrivederci, because if he can't put in a performance in probably the biggest game this season and he just disappears and he does his usual, then I think that for me will say in the summer we need to look for someone else, because he's not been 100% last couple of games. He's been quite poor. And you're giving the man chances after chances. And if he cannot deliver in North London derby, then there is a bit of an issue. Just one comment, Sam, before you go. Dragusin plays right back for Romania. So that's his position for Romania. So he can play at that position. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I've heard a lot of things about it, and I'm sure it's Ali goals, but I'm not the manager, so let's see what happens.
I'm going to say this, and I mentioned it a number of times. Our fullbacks are not fullbacks in a normal sense of the word. They have to be midfielders in the sense of they have to be comfortable on the ball, not necessarily midfielders, but they have to be comfortable in midfield. We know that Emerson Royal, is not comfortable in midfield. It doesn't appear to be as comfortable as someone like Parr is. Dragusin, he looks better on the ball than probably someone like Emerson Royal is. But again, to be playing this role, they have had time to work it through. I get that. But I don't know whether or not a North London derby where everything matters is the game to put someone who hasn't played in one at this stage of the season. Now, we've talked about, you should play players if they're good enough. I agree with all of that. And I'm not saying that's not the case. But at this moment in time, in my head, I just remember the games that he has had, and he looks a little bit that he needs a little bit more time. He just needs a little bit more time. And yeah, that's it.
The other thing you got to remember, Sam, is whoever plays in that position, yeah, Ben White is on fire. So they're going to be playing Ben White, who plays on the right? Saka, yeah. And Ben White scored twice the other day as well. So he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a big problem.
if it's me, I'm not starting Basuma. I'm starting Bentancur and Højbjerg. And the reason I'm saying that is because you have a bit more solidity in defensive area. If Basuma's playing, Basuma does not appear to work as hard off the ball to get back into position. And if he's playing a lone 6, it's even more difficult. I think we have to play a 2 with a double pivot, would allow Bentancur to join in as an 8 with Maddison in that 10 position. And then you've got Højbjerg almost playing a dedicated 6, but he then drops back into that defensive shape and makes a back 3. Because on the transition, if you're just playing 2v2 and you're expecting our centre-backs to go out wide each time, it's going to be hard day, because if they're playing a false 9, which I expect them to play with Kai Havertz in behind, Trossard on the left, they're just going to be flooding players forward. And if you're going to have 3 versus 2, I mean 3 Arsenal players versus 2 Tottenham players being in defence, and players are not coming back to defend, it's a hard. So make it 3v3 by playing Højbjerg there, who will then drop into the back 3. He can do that, has done that for most of his Spurs career, and I think we need it tomorrow. So drop Basuma, Bentancur in the 2, Maddison just ahead, allow Bentancur to drown, and even allow Højbjerg sometimes to get further forward, but make sure you've always got that protection. You've always got that protection to go into a back 3.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul, for joining us. Have a good day and enjoy the North London derby this weekend. Do you know what the other thing as well? Højbjerg knows the importance of a North London derby. So Højbjerg he'll know, although he wants to leave apparently or whatever, he will know that the moment he puts that shirt on and he's on that pitch, he will give 100%, 110%, because it's a North London derby. He knows how important that is to the club and to the fans. With Basuma, I'm not too sure.
Again, I think he does, but I don't think Basuma's is kind of nonchalant. He's like, well, does it really? It gives me the impression that it doesn't really matter, and that's not an impression I want from any of my Spurs players. I don't know if that's the case, and probably isn't the case, but that's what it feels like sometimes. Well, I don't necessarily get that impression from Højbjerg. Now, I know in the beginning of the season he looked like he wanted out and he was going down the tunnel before, but I think there's been a sea change in him. He knows what it means in this North London derby. Ben Davies knows what it means in this North London derby. Romero knows what it means. If you put even Emerson Royal, if you put him in there, he's played enough of them to know what it means. Maddison, I don't need to have to play enough of them to know. He's an England international. He plays with Saka and plays with quite a few of these players. He knows what it means, this North London derby, as does the front 3. Say some of the front 3. We'll get into the front 3 now. But it's got to be about players who really know what this means to us as fans and us as a club.
Yeah, and this is it. It's about importance and getting onto that pitch and showing to the fans that what an important game it is and what it means to them. Forward line then, Johnson on the right. Now I'm going on the basis that Richarlison's fit, so I go with Son on the left.
Thank God.
And I go Richarlison up top. The reason I'm going with Son on the left is because what a class player he has been for Spurs. One of the top strikers we've had, or player all around. A Tottenham Hotspur legend in the making. But man cannot hold the ball up top. And we've seen it in the last few games when Richarlison's been away. He hasn't. Now, Sean put it the other day. He was at fault for 2 of Newcastle's goals because he couldn't hold the ball up. He cannot. And against Saliba and Gabriel, he ain't going to win shit. Yeah? So play him on the wing where he can destroy teams, where we know what he can do, and have the target man in Richarlison up top. Because if there's one player, apart from Romero, I want on that pitch on Sunday, for fight and shithousery, is Richarlison.
Bang on. Now, bringing Richarlison in does a couple of things. It strengthens our bench. And what I mean by that is you don't have to start. So I've just written down the players who wouldn't be starting this game, would be potentially on the bench if we have that starting lineup, which I agree with, apart from Basuma. If you replace Højbjerg with Basuma, I think I'm happy. And potentially, if Porro's not 100% fit, Emerson Royal. So either or. So then it means your bench is going to be Dragusin, Basuma, Sarr, Kulu, Werner, Lo Celso. Now, it could either be Porro or Emerson Royal, depending on who starts, and potentially Scarlett. If you look at those players, a lot of those players have played minutes in this season, and that looks like a pretty strong bench. and it looks like there's opportunities for changes. You can make the change with Kulu, a different player from what we've got on. Obviously, we know what Timo Werner's like, although I'm not his biggest fan, but he can impact games. Then you've got Lo Celso. We haven't seen enough of him. He can impact games. And then you've got the energy of Sarr, potentially Basuma, to make sure that midfield can be dynamically changed as well. Very different players. So everything in terms of, and Dragerson as well, we talked about aerial height and stuff like that. Everything's there for us to have changes in this game. Up here, mate. If we got that mentality, if we've got the mentality Sunday, we'll be a very competitive game. It'll be a very good game to watch, certainly from a football perspective. But if our mentality is not there, and let's say they get the first goal in the first 10 minutes, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really tough. So you know that yourself. We'll be there. We'll be there.
We'll be there. We'll be there. Yep. And we don't know what's the fitness situation, who's fit, who's not fit, who's passed the fitness test. But if it's all goes to plan and they're all fit, potentially it could be the team, or like you said, it could be Højbjerg for Basuma, but I don't think so. I would like to see Højbjerg in there for the reasons that I said anyway, but we don't know. Luca, we don't know yet about Porro. He's training, Richarlison's training, so we don't know. And knowing Ange, you probably won't say anything until the team comes out on Sunday. So we as Spurs fans are hoping.
Richarlison has to start. He's been like saying, "No, he's not quite ready."
That's what I mean.
I think he's 100% starting. Now, if you're asking me, there's a one possible Johnson or Werner, because Son's got to play. Now, Son, I think, is going to play on that left-hand side. That's his best position for me. And I think it's his better position now because he doesn't have to face back to goal. And he can isolate. If Arsenal are playing with Ben White high up the pitch, there's going to be opportunities for Son. If Son doesn't have to track back, he can do that cheating position and get into a position where Ben White's gone and we get that transition ourselves. But that would mean a slight difference in how we play. I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is Son should have more opportunities on that left-hand side than he would through the centre. I wouldn't want to see Son up against Gabriel and Saliba. No. Waste of time, in my opinion. Waste of time. This
is it. Might as well not play. And I agree with you with Johnson and Werner. I think both of them can start and both of them can be an impact sub. The question is, which one will be better to start the game and which one will be better impact? Johnson's done it better off the bench recently, but Werner's been consistently starting, and even against Newcastle, he played the full 90 minutes. So I think Ange likes Werner. So I don't know what it is.
He does like him. Yeah. And because I think, why? He seems to do what he's asked. Yeah. Give him simple instructions, get to the byline. My problem is, if that's his instructions and you stop that source, I'm not sure he's intelligent enough to change his game. Now, it's not to say because every player has a hard day. If you're 2v1 and you've got two defenders, Saka has the same thing. Martinelli has the same thing. Trossard. But you find a different way. There's got to be a spare player somewhere. So you've got to find it. I just don't think he's intelligent enough, in my opinion, to keep finding the open player. That's just my perspective.
So, league table then, going into the North London derby as of yesterday. Arsenal 34, 77 points. Manchester City 33, 76. Liverpool 34, 74. Then comes Aston Villa 66 points, 34. Spurs 32, 60 points. Man United 33, 53 points. So we're 6 points behind Villa, 2 games in hand. And obviously Arsenal, City, Liverpool. They're saying Liverpool are out of it now, but you never say never. But it's like you said right at the beginning of the show, Sam. We what have we got to play for? We're probably guaranteed Europa League unless something dramatic and drastic happens and we lose all the games and Man United somehow become hot chocolate and believe in miracles.
68 points, Sid. That's all that Man United can now get.
Yeah.
5 games left, 68 points. We need to get to 68 points to guarantee that, because our goal difference should be better than theirs.
Yeah.
That is effectively 3 wins with 6 games to go. We all know what the 6 games are, and we know the 3 games which we potentially could lose. So again, it's down to us. There's no excuses about us finishing 5th. Whether we finish 4th or not, I think it's pretty irrelevant, because as I said, I don't think we are competitive enough to go into the Champions League. I still think the Europa League will be better for us as a development and potentially to win a competition, because it's a winnable competition which gets you into the Champions League anyway.
This is it. This is it. So, Sam, comes to that time of the day, just before we wrap up, the score prediction. Everybody in the comment sections, please put your hand on your heart. Put your heart where it matters. Let us have your prediction for the North London derby on Sunday. Whether you're a Gooner, whether you're a Spurs fan, let's say it with pride, say it from the heart. What is the scoreline going to be this Sunday? Sam, what is the scoreline going to be this Sunday?
This is such a difficult one. So difficult, because we know it could be absolutely anything. It could be a tight game. It could be a massacre. It could be just end to end. It could be anything. Now, I'm going to have to be honest, and I'm going to have to go by what I've seen in terms of our data, chances created, all the rest of that stuff. It looks like there's going to be goals in it tomorrow on Sunday. Yeah. It looks like there's going to be goals. Saying that, they've got a stronger defensive setup than we have. Clear to see from the clean sheet. So I don't think they'll concede loads. I don't want to say that it's going to be a victory to Arsenal, because we cannot have that on Sunday. We cannot. So I'm not even going to think about that. Do we have enough to score more than one goal against Arsenal? Yes, but we're not taking our chances. So we have to take our chances. Will we create enough chances? I think so. 2-2 I'm going with, even though I'm saying I think a 1-1. I'm going for a draw, a 1-1 or a 2-2. If I think about it, 2-2. I'm going to go 2-2 on this one.
You're going to go 2-2. People in the comment section, Sam is sitting on the fence and he's going for 2-2.
I'm having to. I'd love to say 2-1 to the Spurs, but I just don't. I can't hold out hope that we're not going to concede more than one goal in that sense. I just can't see it.
Do you know what? My fear is if they score early. Yeah. Oh, Sean Hurley saying here, our very own draw, and I'll bite your hand off. There you go. So I think Sean as well, another resident PRTV Spurs pundit, is saying.
I'll ask you, do you think that Ange is going to change any tactical approach to this game because it's Arsenal?
He's never changed. He's not changed it all season. He didn't even change it at the Emirates. He plays the way he plays, right? He will not change it because that's his highlight. I've been chatting to a lot of. I've got a guy I work with. He's a Rangers fan, but he's got a lot of admiration for Celtic. Not Celtic. He's got a lot of admiration for. He'll kill me now. Postecoglou, and he said he's a great manager, but he never ever changes his way, his system. And he said that's what cost him in Europe, because he refused to change his way of playing. So Postecoglou will not change his way of playing. He will tell the boys, go out and play the same way you played against Newcastle, Luton, Forest, whoever you've played against, that is the same way. It will not change. So all I ask of him is, and the players, is look at Everton on Wednesday. Not won a Merseyside derby since 2010. Can't beat Liverpool home and away for X amount of years. Fighting for survival, fighting in the to avoid relegation, not being the best of form against Liverpool, and they went out there and they done the job and they kept a clean sheet and they won the game.
Yeah, can't see us keeping a clean sheet.
I know.
Can't see us keeping a clean sheet.
Did anyone think Everton would keep a clean sheet against Liverpool? No. Did anyone think Everton would get a point against Liverpool? No. Unless you ask the true die-hard Everton fans, maybe, yeah. But majority of them would not have said that. Yes, Liverpool missed loads and loads of chances, but at the end of the day, it's a North London derby, like it's a Merseyside derby. Form goes out the window. It is do or die on that. It's a battle. It's a battle. Yeah. You give them whatever you give them, they take 10 steps back and then they turn around and then shoot or do whatever you got to do. For me, it's about who turns up on the day, who wants it more. If we want it more, we win the game. If they want it more, when we don't perform to the way we want to and we do what we normally do and capitulate, then they'll win the game comfortably.
Yeah. In a lot of areas, our best 11 against their best 11 is competitive. If you match up player for player, I think in the forward area they're stronger than us, in my opinion. But if I look at the midfield, yeah, you can compare Odegaard to Maddison. You could look at Declan Rice against Basuma, Bentancur, choose your pick. You can look at even someone like Thomas Partey and compare them to someone like, Højbjerg or whatever, Sarr, Energy. There's lots of comparisons that can be made and matches up, match players up. But it's confidence, Sid. I keep saying it goes back to confidence. If you're confident going into a game, you're likely to play with less pressure and be able to play to your game. If your confidence is dented somehow going into the game and then is dented throughout the game, it's very difficult. I also say that quality drop-off for us is bigger than theirs. The quality drop-off from Porro to Emerson Royal in terms of the way you want to play is going to be big different. Ben Davison, we know, is a great defender, but the drop-off from an attacking perspective, and even probably an aerial height perspective, although saying that Udogi's been struggling from a defensive point of view, is still quite large. I don't think the game's going to be one from a midfield perspective, playing through midfield. Yes, it's going to be opportunities for play. It's going to be one in both boxes. If we can defend our box well, we will have an opportunity. If we can take our chances of all these 5,000 million touches in the opposition box that we have with only one shot, do you know what I mean? Those are the things I've got to change. If we have the ball in their box, don't have too many touches, get shots off a goal, and we might have a real good opportunity to upset a lot of people.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a North London derby at the end of the day. Anything can happen. Anything will happen. It probably even might be a 0-0. It might even be 0-0. He might come to us and say, right, I'm going to play safe and that's it. Let's go 0-0. But we're at home. It's down to us, like Sean said. Jeer them every touch. Boo them at every touch that they have. Make it a nightmare for them. Make it a nightmare for them. Put loads of water where Arteta walks, so when he tries to run up and down, he slips and keeps slipping, and then have one of them cut a bit of turf out and make it into a hole, so when he can go fall down that hole and disappear. Make it hell for them. And on that, I'm not going to say we're going to lose, because I'm not going to ever say Arsenal to beat Spurs. But I think the best we can do is a draw. However, if we play to our potential and stick it to them, we could potentially get a draw. But Sam, I'm going with you as well. I think it'll be 2-2. In fact, actually, no, I'm going to say 2-1 to Spurs. I think I'm actually going to go with Spurs to win this game 2-1. I think we're going to turn up North London derby and fucking tore them 2 goals in the Paxton Road end, not in the fucking South Stand. Score them in my end. Yeah? And I tell you what, score them in my end and I'll bloody go mental, because we need a goal, and there's no better way to score the winning goal in the Paxton Road end, because we are there as part of the ground as well. So I'm going with 2-1 with Spurs. Get it in action.
Our biggest advantage going into Sunday's game is this a couple for me, definitely probably more than a couple actually. It's at home. It's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's a massive, massive advantage for us, given the fact that if it was away, I'd see us getting nothing from the game. B, if we really think about it, and this is more so from a fan's perspective than the players and the manager, we need 2 out of 3 results, a draw or a win. We don't need to get a win. We don't need necessarily, to win the game, but we do need to make sure that we don't lose.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, there's only 3 results possible in football: win, lose, or draw. And we've got 2 opportunities. And because of the fact that we're at home, we've got the 60-odd thousand fans. We have also now got as many players available as we had done for a lot part of the season. So there's no excuses. Yeah, we might be missing our fullbacks potentially, but again, they're not fullbacks per se. They're midfielders who go back into their wide areas to defend. Are we going to need defenders in wide areas? Certainly are. So maybe the fact that one or both is missing might help us. But certainly those 2 things, the fact that we're at home and the fact that we don't need to win the game necessarily to dent Arsenal's opportunities is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and Sean said the pressure is on them, not Spurs. Right, people, ladies, gentlemen, everybody who's watching in the comment section, thank you very much for joining us today. Sam, thank you very much. Wherever you're watching the game from on Sunday, enjoy the game. Obviously, Spurs to win the game and put a dent in their title. And then we go again for the reaction show, probably on Monday. Win, lose or draw, we'll be doing the reaction show. Myself, Sam, Sean probably will be there, maybe Pav as well. So whatever you're doing, have a wonderful Friday. Have a great Saturday. And most importantly, enjoy the North London derby. And as always, come on, you Spurs. Let's get it. Let's give it to them. Have a great day, lads, ladies. Goodbye.
Develop,